the Emergencies Act inquiry in Ottawa is well into its second week. And wow, talk about eyebrow-raising commentary from some of the people that have been chosen to testify. And thankfully, we have someone on staff, that would be our chief reporter, Sheila Gunn Reid, who's been watching just about every single second of that inquiry. And she joins me now to give her thoughts and opinions on what's been happening these last few days. How you doing there, Sheila Gunn Reid?
Oh, David, I'm great. I think as we're recording this, we are almost done. Day 16 of the Truckers Commission, as we're calling it. And we've sort of cut through some of the senior police officers and senior police superintendents, both in OPS, so Ottawa Police Service, and the OPP, the Ontario Police. We've heard from them, and we've heard from senior bureaucrats in the city. And now we're moving into convoy organizer territory. And as I'm watching this, you can... Well, as I said, David, before we started recording, it's kind of a wonder they got to Ottawa at all, because there are a lot of different factions of truckers. And I think they started off united. But as pressure came down on them, and as they realized we need to have a media strategy because the media is starting to lie about us, they started to engage, I think rightfully, in some political hygiene. And that sort of drove people into their respective camps. And we're seeing that unfold live on TV every single day.
And Sheila, let me talk about one particular unsavory individual, in my opinion. And it's simply this. Does anyone give a rodent's rectum what Pat King has to say about anything, except maybe those in the media, those in government who want to discredit the Freedom Convoy?
Yeah, well, to answer your question, who cares what he has to say? Definitely the CBC, because he's the kind of guy who's prone to saying wild things, outlandish things, often untrue things. And the media takes that as the paintbrush to paint the hole. And they've done that repeatedly. And that's why the convoy organizers and Keith Wilson, the lawyer for the convoy, Tamara Leach, Tom Marazzo, they distanced themselves from Pat King, who's from Alberta here, and he's got quite a track record out here. For a time last year, he camped out in the legislature grounds until the province had enough of him. They started distancing themselves from him once he started saying that politicians are going to get shot. Yeah. However, they were happy to sort of hitch their wagon to Pat King because he had a large social media following. And I think everybody learned a tough lesson because of that. And you see this with other people too. There's another lady, Bridget Belton. She was an early convoy organizer. And right now you can see she's to this day posting anti-Tamara Leach, anti-Keith Wilson things on her TikTok. We saw today also you can see some discontent with Benjamin Dichter, who I think was sort of doing communications for the convoy. It seems as though at some point Tamara Leach and Keith Wilson sort of cut him out of the communications as they were negotiating with the city to move some trucks and bring an end to the convoy. He said, well, I didn't know that a deal was struck. In fact, they were telling me no deal was struck, but we do know through documents produced earlier in the commission that a deal was struck, and there's a paper trail to prove it. So I don't know when they decided to cut him out, but it's pretty obvious that they did. And I know that Keith Wilson yesterday, or rather Wednesday, in a press conference said Benjamin Dichter was in charge of the crypto that was coming into the convoy. And there's been no accounting of the cryptocurrency that came into the convoy, and he would like to see that. Because that's never happened. And that's been a real concern back and forth between the convoy organizers now and Ben Dichter. And it's odd from the outside looking in, and I'm not even going to speculate. But a lot of people were charged with mischief, but Benedictor wasn't. And I don't know what's the friction there, why he wasn't charged. It seemed like he wanted to stay longer while everybody else was negotiating an end. And those who were negotiating an end were the ones that got charged with mischief. It's just all very odd. There's a lot of questions back and forth.
Hey folks, that was an excerpt from my show, Rebel Roundup. Now, to get the full meal deal, why not go to Rebel News Plus, sign up, and never miss a Rebel News Plus show in the future.